Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister to make known her decisions on a cabinet reconfiguration sometime tomorrow. Central Bank says the launch of the new $50 bill brings great pride to the nation. And CXC and CAPE students now have additional resources to assist them in their preparations for examinations. Thank you for joining us. Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable Suraj Rattan Rambachan, has announced plans by the Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissassa to make known her decisions on a cabinet reconfiguration sometime tomorrow. The minister was speaking during today's post-cabinet media briefing.
The Prime Minister is going to make an announcement at tomorrow afternoon on her decisions with respect to the reshuffling of the cabinet. That's going to take place definitely tomorrow afternoon. She has advised me to let the national community and the media know that.
In other news, Central Bank Governor Ewart Williams says the launch of the new $50 bill in Trinidad and Tobago brings great pride to the nation, especially for its independence anniversary celebrations. He was addressing those gathered at the launch where he identified the many positives stemming from this new $50 note.
Central Bank Governor Ewart Williams says the launch of a $50 bill in this country is an occasion to be proud of, as it comes on the heels of the 50th anniversary celebrations. Speaking at the launch, the Central Bank Governor says the decision was made only after great deliberation and in response to defined criteria, which he says is standard to the decision-making policies of the Central Bank. He says security features have also been implemented along with other initiatives to ensure legal circulation of the bill.
Central banks, as they act on behalf of their major stakeholder, the government, seek to introduce currency changes in respect of certain defined considerations. Some of these are: 1, to make the currency structure more convenient for the public use. We may introduce changes to introduce new security features to keep a step ahead of counterfeiters, or to review design features to ensure the continued relevance of the currency to changing local conditions.
A $50 bill was circulating at one point in time in this country. However, the Central Bank Governor reveals that there were several reasons which led to the withdrawal of that initial note.
We took the opportunity to introduce 2 new denominations of notes, a $50 and a $100 note. The $50 note was withdrawn from circulation in 1979, consequent upon an incident in which some unissued notes went missing.
He adds that the new monetary note will be beneficial to the central bank and also be of great convenience to members of the public.
The new $50 note will make the currency structure more convenient for public use, since it bridges the gap between the $20 and the $100. It should also bring some financial savings to the central bank over time, since it will reduce the demand for the 20s and smaller denominations in meeting transactions. Since the note remains within our existing currency boundary between 1 and 100, there should be no concern about any inflationary impact or about merchants adjusting prices upwards in line with the larger currency denomination.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Meet the Kissoons. It's Saturday, and everyone has to do their part to clean the house. Everything was flowing perfectly until Daddy, what water gun? No, no. Don't let this happen to you. Pay your bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
Welcome back. A great turnout on the San Fernando Promenade as members of the public were treated to fine entertainment and provided with valuable information as various booths were well equipped with flyers and props, providing detailed and adequate information on the services being offered by the various government ministries. This event was hosted by the Ministry of Public Administration in commemorating this country's 50th anniversary celebrations.
So it's checking. So officers, I want to find out something. Let me talk to the officer while the process is going on. Listen carefully to her. No, I don't know. Officer, explain to me. Look. That's it. That's the box of magic.
Information being transmitted to the general public on the usefulness of the K9 unit of the protective services in this country. This was just one of the many demonstrations being made to the public in an attempt to educate and inform persons on the various services available. News 4 also visited the lifeguard booth under the Ministry of Tourism, where this lifeguard and water safety officer provided some very valuable tips on the CPR life-saving procedure.
Once we don't see any signs of movement or breathing, we will locate the nipple line. Okay? Once we don't get, as I said, any signs of breathing or anything, we will locate mid-line of the nipples. Put in your heel of your hand. You're going to get as vertical, as straight over them as possible, right? Trying to get keeping your elbows as straight as possible and compressing vertical or straight down. Okay, we're going to give now 30 compressions. So we compress straight down for 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and we will use 2 breaths, or we can also use the ambu mask as we operate once we have assistance. Okay.
The Ministry of Education was also another very popular booth, providing an insight into the newly established continuous assessment component of the secondary entrance assessment, which is said to be part of a series of transformational initiatives of the Ministry of Education. The initiative is expected to take effect from 2013. The curriculum coordinator in the Planning and Development Division shared some information on the marking system for that component.
What we have here is a self-watering grow box where students will have to plant the crop. They would plant the seed at different spots and then they would observe and record the time it takes for emergence. As the plants start to grow, they will measure the height and record the height as they go along. Then they would take the time it takes for flowering, you understand, and record all these parameters of development. For example, the plant height they will then translate into bar charts, which they would present in a report. And these would be some of the data which would be used to mark the students.
Speaking on her very own home soil, Public Administration Minister and San Fernando West MP, the Honorable Carolyn Sipasad Bachan, says the initiative will go a long way in assisting the average citizen by providing a wealth of information on how to access assistance in almost any government ministry in this country.
Regardless of color, creed, race, gender, and geography, every citizen of this country deserves the best that our government has to offer. Every citizen has a right to information and the right to be heard. This is our goal. This is one of the end results of our journey from gold to diamond. Transformation is happening not only at the level of the public service, but I am determined that it also happens at the local level. As the Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, I'm determined that San Fernando's own jewel, the waterfront project, will be completed. In that project, we will see the convergence of public and private sector services in one central location. easily accessible to the city and its people.
Reena Bharath, News 4.
CXC and CAPE students now have additional resources to assist them in their preparations for examinations. This as the Ministry of Education has partnered with the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, and UK-based publishing house Nelson Thornes in its regional launch of 15 study guides. Welcoming the move to introduce the guides locally, Education Minister Dr. The Honorable Tim Gopi Singh said, while the books will cost over $24 million, the investment into students was much needed.
Over $20 million will be spent in the addition of 15 new study guides to the secondary school curriculum. The books are being introduced by the Caribbean Examinations Council CXC and the UK-based publishing house Nelson Thornes across the Caribbean, and targets candidates preparing for the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination CAPE and the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC. Education Minister Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, in introducing the new materials, noted that the move by CXC came at a time when grades by students here in Trinidad and Tobago were at an all-time low.
17,000 entering, less than 5,000 getting 5 full passes, including maths and English. And out of those, 3,005 go to CAPE, and the results at CAPE are relatively good. About 60% get grades 1 to 3, and approximately 90% get grades 1 to 5. Now the 136,000 books for up to CXC level, multiplied by an approximate cost of $150 per book, will bring us close to $20 million.
Oliver Thornton, lead publisher at Nelson Thornes Publishers, said the guides utilize both print and electronic mediums and will address specific needs of students writing CXC and CSEC examinations.
CXC and Nelson Thornes put together a team that consists of professional author with subject specialism, principal or senior examiner, syllabus panel member, and a teacher. Each team member brings their strengths and perspectives to the project to provide a synthesis of insight into the specification and the examination.
Minister Gopi Singh added that it was his ministry's goal to improve the education system by increasing the options of elite school students had in attending.
It is our desire to create 152 what is being termed elite schools. And why should we have only 31 of the schools winning island scholarships, with a predominance in some of the schools? Why can't we have 152 schools winning island scholarships? And this is the aim of the Ministry of Education and the Minister and the People's Partnership Government, that we will continue to search for excellence in education.
The 8 study guides being launched with CSEC are English A, English B, Information Technology, Integrated Science, Mathematics, Office Administration, Principles of Business and Social Studies, while the 7 CAPE study guides are Accounting Units 1 and 2, Biology Unit 1, Caribbean Studies, Chemistry Unit 1, Communication Studies, and Economics Unit 1. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
More news after the break. Welcome back. Absentee fathers can destroy a family for generations to come. This was the warning given by the President of Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency Professor George Maxwell Richards, at the Ministry of National Security's annual Fatherhood Fair. The fair was held at the Queen's Park, Savannah, and Gregory McBurney has more in this report.
Fathers and even some mothers from throughout Trinidad and Tobago came out in their numbers to participate in the Ministry of National Security's second annual Fatherhood Fair. The purpose of the fair was to sensitize men and the public in general to the role of fathers in the home and society. Speaking at the fair, President George Maxwell Richards called on men to realize that fathering was more than just a biological act. He said the role of the father is critical and a man should not have children without consideration of the consequences. He urged the men of the nation to open their eyes to the consequences an absentee father can have on society.
There is no gainsaying that absentee fathers have left large spaces for all sorts of negative circumstances to take over the lives of their sons and their daughters. And where they have been present but have not provided the nurturing, the support, the example of proper fatherhood, disaster has ensued for successive generations.
President Richards added that while single parenting is now an acceptable thing, children still need both parents in their lives.
We must recognize that children need parents, both parents, fathers as well as mothers. But with the passage of time, life in communities has changed, and it can hardly be argued successfully that parenting today is as it should be.
President Richards asked citizens not to ignore the importance of proper family life. He stressed that the importance of family life was being sidetracked by the importance of technology.
Family life has tremendous influence on the lives that we lead. We ignore that fact at our peril. And while modern technology has its many advantages, it has invaded family life to such a degree that many of our children are being brought up by television and internet devices.
The president said this change of focus was detrimental to the role of parents. Meanwhile, also speaking at the event was National Security Minister, Senator the Honorable John Sandy. Minister Sandy also echoed the president's sentiments, saying family life in the country has broken down. He believes events such as the Fatherhood Fair are needed to make Trinidad a place we can be proud of once again.
So we said, parents, bring your children and come, because we have recognized that quite apart from the law enforcement aspect, we must take care of our families. And I'm sure there's no one here would disagree with me that family life has broken down considerably in Trinidad and Tobago. And we feel very strongly that were we to get families once more together, were we to get our communities once more together, then our country would be one of which all Trinidadians and Tobagonians will be justly proud.
Persons attending the event were also treated to some entertainment by various artists, including Maximus Dan, Dwayne O'Connor, Isaac Blackman, Aaron Duncan, and the T&Tech Malik Tassa drummers. The most powerful and touching message of the evening came from former Chutney Soca monarch Ricky Jai. In his song titled Love Family Life, he praised his father for being the ultimate family man.
Love family life is what he used to say. The little pay he got went a long, long way. Together, together, together. Never wanted his children to stray. On the right path he begged us to stay. He did what had to be done to keep us together. Whoa. Yeah, yeah. He had to keep his family together. Whoa, yeah, yeah. He had to keep
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
CCC, YTEP, MyLAT and MyPart are some of the initiatives targeting youth in Trinidad and Tobago. Although well-intentioned, more is still needed to rescue at-risk youth. The Life Sport program, recently launched by the Ministry of Sport, aims to fill the gap using the excitement and lure of sport as well as other initiatives. Wayne Cunningham discussed the program with the Honorable Admiral Roberts, and he has more on Life Sport in this report.
33 communities are targeted in the first phase of Life Sport, the dynamic program from the Ministry of Sport targeting at-risk youth. And according to the Minister of Sport, this first phase is far-reaching.
You're talking about Carapo, you're talking about Pinto in Arima, you're talking about Laoketa, Maloney, you're talking down in south on the train line, Embacadere, talking Point 14, you know, some of the areas that have come out from the last CSO study and show that they're at-risk youth.
This is just phase 1. There is more to come.
As long as this phase 1 goes on, and phase 1 is probably about $54 million, we have phase 2 which goes to a further 75 communities across Trinidad and Tobago. So all across Trinidad and Tobago where there are areas that require a little intervention, we will be there. And what was great about this evening is that the program evolves. So you see, the whole concept, and I must commend those who put it together, because I spoke to them, I told them what I wanted, and they did it brilliantly.
The program is aimed to support a youth for 2 years. We asked the Minister what will sustain the interest for that period.
Even while their attention being grabbed by all other things, when Chelsea playing Bayern, they're in front of the TV. When West Indies playing England, they're in front of the TV, they're asking about the score. When Miami Heat playing Oklahoma Thunder, so their interest is there. They love the sport, they love the excitement, and so within the program, sport itself is the attractor, the maintainer is the stipend, and then we must develop from there. So the idea is now, we have some of the best, most skilled minds there, so you don't think about it as 2 years. In the first 6 weeks, you grab them attention based on the sport and the excitement of sport and the stipend. From that now, from day one, you must now have an exciting, entertaining, educational program that deals to their needs. You're not lecturing down to them. You're making it exciting, just like the launch was exciting. So from day one now, the program must keep them coming back, so that within 2 years, they should be out. Even before some who will move at a faster rate will be out. So that's the idea.
The program has already taken a life of its own.
Everybody here is coming up with an idea. You thinking in your head now from your sporting background and your community-based coaching and so on, how you could impact on it, whether it is with the media, whether it's with mentoring, whether it's with skills, whether it's with equipment, whether it's with sponsors. Everybody we're talking to is coming up with their own concept of life sport. Now, the key is life sport, as you could see it there, is really life support. So whatever idea, whatever skill you have, even if it's a homemaker, a mother who, when she finished cooking for her kids, she can give her a little hour or two to help, prepare some meals for the boys or bring them out, or it's a whole coming together the community.
So we asked the question. Look out for more on Live Sport. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, fulfilling the promise.
There's a spark of greatness in each of us. That spark is called personality. Individual gifts and talents provide the fuel to set that spark ablaze. Each child has the right to an education which values their personality and nurtures their talents, while teaching them to be respectful to their parents and their cultures.
In our special feature, Fulfilling the Promise, we highlight the initiatives and achievements of government over its 2 years in office. At News 4, we've joined in that effort, and each day in our news package, we feature one of those highlights from the long and impressive list of milestones over these 24 months. In this story, we look at the restoration of the Toko Lighthouse.
We opened the Toko Lighthouse as a whole family resort, right? And there are several things in that area that's so prone to tourism.
Let me say how glad I am to be a part of this favorable occasion. When I came up and I went to the back dock, I gasped. It has been so long that this district has been clamoring for something of this magnitude. And I want us to put our hands together and thank the TDC, thank our MP for the work that they have done.
Today, the lighthouse is being launched not just as a historic monument, but it's a historic site, the landscape. So it stands today as an example of a monument and a landscape, conservation and the importance of conserving. People ask why conserve. A lot of people say why waste time conserving. And the first thing I ask them is, do you have something at home that reminds you of someone or something or some event that you would not part with anything? I'm sure all of you here had something at home that you will not part with. So on a macro scale, we conserve because it represents us as a people, different race, it represents events, it represents important things in our lives. So we need to conserve so that many of us, if we do not know where we came from, how can we measure our progress in life? So conserving our past, conserving our monuments, conserving our environments are very important to us as a people, and we must conserve.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you so much for joining us.